Good evening, brothers and sisters. This evening, we're referring to as a lot of racial and white supremacist comments that I'm receiving, depending on the clip. But there is some bases that I truly want to go over before we get into the heart of the video. Okay, before we get into the heart of the video, there are some things that I want to cover in general about white supremacy. Okay, there's just some basic things that I want to cover because white supremacy is an ideology that plagues our society, especially when it comes to discussions surrounding Black folk in any regards, as well as one of the most, I guess, inflicting conversations that people who submit themselves to the white supremacy culture and having that dichotomy of a mindset that people that are non-white subjects are unintelligent, and the negative comments that circulate such that we'll receive when we speak outwardly about what's owed to us as foundational Black Americans from this country. We have people who are first generation, second generation, third generation, people, white folk, people who've been here for a very long time, and they still do not understand, they still do not know history and why these things are important. You'll receive comments like "stop crying" about the white man, or "money will not fix Black people's problems," that our problems are deeply rooted in our own culture. They also have comments like "stop being lazy." Ain't no one receiving no damn reparations. You guys don't deserve cash payments. Were you slaves? See, these comments not only dismiss the generational trauma and systematic oppression faced by our people, but it also perpetuates harmful stereotypes and discrimination to this day. And it's important to recognize both presidential candidates, Joe Biden and Donald Trump, they have a history of making racist remarks that further contribute to the racial divide in the country. People want to leave one plantation and go to the other plantation. People want to stop being a Democrat and be a Republican. Niggas for Trump, Negroes for Trump, Blacks for Trump. And not understanding this has nothing to do with a party. This has nothing to do with those people. This is about a debt that is owed. And later on in the broadcast, family, I'm going to provide a link in the chat for anyone who wants to speak on this very shortly, but especially those who oppose the comments and those who probably watching this right now or who will watch it, who responded to that short clip about reparations owed to foundational Black Americans. And when you talk about Biden, his past comments on segregation, to Trump's divisive rhetoric and policies, it's evident that systematic racism continues to exist at the highest level in this country. And furthermore, the rise in white supremacy, from hate crimes, from police brutality, to the actions of extremist groups. And here's the thing, family, I don't want you to correlate white supremacists with white people. I do not want you to conflate the two. I don't want you to do that, family. I do not want you to conflate the two between a white supremacist and a white person. I don't want you to do that. White supremacy is a culture. White supremacy is an ideology. It is that so happily the dominant society, they're the majority of the population of white supremacists. But we're gonna go over how Hispanics, aka Latinos, have a white supremacist culture too. Now we know that's a derivative of, the Spanish invading and conquering and colonizing all the native groups that were here and around the world, but we won't go there. We'll let people to do some of their own research. Because I know that a lot of these people who speak out against reparation, I just know they do their research. And here's the thing, family, a lot of them know, but they'd rather play stupid. And that's stupid within itself. And of course, we're going to go over Trump's recent statements insinuating that black people support him because of his alleged crimes. And what that does, that furthers inflame racial tensions and perpetuate a dangerous narrative. So we're going to confront these injustices. We're going to examine, crucially, laws and legislations that perpetuate inequality and discrimination against our people. Now, some people may think this is a difficult conversation. This is not a difficult conversation at all. So let's get into it, family. Let's jump right into it. We have a lot to cover, so I'm trying not to be here too long, but let's jump right into this. Give me 1 second. Now, what you guys are seeing here, give me 1 second. Is the 13th Amendment to the United States Constitution. The amendment states that, listen, family, the amendment states that neither slavery nor involuntary servitude shall exist in the United States of America, except, it's like someone saying, but, except as punishment for a crime. It also gives Congress the power to enforce the amendment through legislation. So they can enforce slavery. They can enforce slavery through legislation. That's basically what they're saying. So America never truly abolished slavery. Why even have that in your Constitution? The very rock, the very foundation that the country is built upon. That's because the country was built upon white supremacy. From the rooter to the tutor, from the start to the finish, to the current day. That's what this country is built on. So you will have also racist comments like, well, won't you go back to your own country? This is my country. I don't know any other country. Generations past. We're talking about 1,000 years. In that case, you should go back to your own country. Because the only people that were here, okay, when the Spanish, when the Portuguese arrived, the only people that was here are the black Native Americans, those Africans that was exploring the world prior to the Europeans, and the red type Mongolian looking Native Americans, which is kind of the face today, but then you have a lot of $5 Indians in that. So there's a lot to cover there as well. This is a lot, family, that we have to really pay attention to, because they will tell you that this country no longer has you in shackles. But they do. So except as punishment for a crime. So why do you think that black Americans are the most prosecuted, persecuted, indicted group of people? Oh, we're just all criminals? We just came out of slavery in shackles and chains and left with zero resources and had to get out the mud and pull ourselves up by our bootstrap. So we resorted to crime. So that's what we resorted to. Even though we had all the skills, we were carpenters, we were bricklayers prior to, because they're going to bring this up, Jesus. Prior to the Irish and the Chinese coming over to help. It's kind of like I built the whole house and the only thing you're going to go to do is go paint the walls inside. Hey, I don't really need the walls painted. It'll look nice. But the house is already built, and that's what they're not even understanding. That's what they're not even standing, family. Let me give you one more thing to look at so we understand how this country's foundation is deeply rooted in white supremacy ideology and white supremacy culture and in racism. That's what I'm gonna do. Kill them with kindness. I mean, kill them with information. Because this is what they don't want to see here. This is no other than the Star-Spangled Banner. And this was written by a very racist man called Francis Scott Key. And we're just going to look at some of those words. Now, you guys, you already know the Star Spangled Banner. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light? So we'll probably be held at, yeah. You already know all that, right? Most people stop. It was at the second paragraph, right? I'm sorry, third paragraph. I'm too far down. Give me a second. But when you get to the second to last paragraph of the Star Spangled Banner, and this is why we don't sing the entire song. First of all, the song is a poem, and the poem is very long. So we just kind of do, you know, the top piece or whatever. But did you know, according to, and I'm going to show you the website here, family, the Smithsonian, which is federally funded, by the way. And there's some other places I can find on federal government website. I just love to go to their websites and show the racism within this country. And they don't care. They don't care. Right here it states, and where is the band who so valiantly swore that the havoc of war and the battle's confusion, a home in a country shall leave us no more. Their blood has washed out their foul footsteps, pollution. Here's the good part. No refuge, meaning no safe haven, nowhere safe. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight of the gloom of the grave. Meaning they're going to kill any slave that go against them. That's what it means, family. Because don't forget, this was kind of written around, I think, right after the Civil War or right before the Civil War. But this is really strong in that Confederate Union time frame. And they were going to kill us. Because, I'm sorry, no, this is not the Civil War. This is 1812. This is the War of 1812 against the British. This is the War of 1812 against the British. And what the British did during this particular war was stating that if you come out, if you're a black person, if you're a slave, and you come out and you fight for the British, we're going to give you your freedom and we're going to give you land. We're going to give you your freedom and we're going to give you land. So somehow, us being 3/5 of a human, us not being citizens, we were not considered citizens. They wrote in the Star Spangled Banner that they're going to kill traitors. They're going to kill the slave. We're going to kill those on the other side of the gun, other side of the waters. When they're talking about the British soldiers, that's what this is talking about. Okay, I just wanted to lay that foundation for you guys very quickly. I see you guys in the room. Rhonda Smith, Blacks for RFK. I got my DSB warrior brother in here. Jermaine Anderson, thank you. Thank you, brother, for being here this evening. Let me get through this. I'm going to slow down. Because there's something I really want to point out to you guys, okay? There's some things I really want to point out to you guys. But before we go there, I want to play a clip for you guys very quickly about something that Dr. Umar said, because again, we're breaking down white supremacy. We're going to go over some comments that I've received, fam, but we're also going to give it context. So with that being said, let's get into it.
So America knows, the entire global white power structure knows that when people are afraid, they will let you get away with murder. If there was no 9/11, the world wouldn't have sat by and let America go in there and do what they did in Afghanistan. So they had to imbibe the world with fear. And anybody who didn't agree with them, they simply said, what? You either with us or you against us. So the small little countries say, even though we don't think this is how this really happened, we got to ride with America because George Bush said they're just going to beat us up and bully us if we don't. The world is not run on law. The world is run on power. And if it's one thing black people need to understand more than anything else, it is the politics and the rules of power. Because we keep on trying to change things with laws, with prayer, with protests, with marches. You need power. Let 1 million black people show up to city council in Washington, D.C. and say we want to end to this or begin into this. They will respond. What are we getting ready for now? A presidential election between Trump and Biden, two white supremacists, neither of which care about black people, neither of which have done anything for black people. But guess what? We're still aligned. Democrat, aligned, Republican. Let's unalign ourselves. Vote as a block. For the first time in American history, every African American is pledging his vote to his people. So we're going to sit down with Trump. We're going to sit down with Biden. We're going to give them a list of demands. How many can you meet? And we telling you now, if you fail us, you automatically know there won't be a Democratic president the next election. You see that? People say, why do politicians ignore black people? You're not organized to hold them accountable. Get your numbers together and you'll make the world respect you. Organization is in the group. Power is in the group. You see that? Victory is a team sport.
Respect to Dr. Umar Johnson. Fair use, fair use. There's a lot of things I do agree with Dr. Umar on, but there's some other things I turn the other cheek on, so to speak. Especially with the whole terms of African American and things of that nature. You know where we stand here on Black Logic Foundation of Black Americans. But that was a very, very powerful clip. How he spoke emphatically about how both presidential candidates are white supremacists. And then number two, that the only power that we have is when we show up unified and organized on a purpose, not just people dividing us. Here's my thing. There's a lot of topics I disagree on, but if I see it for the benefit of my people, I don't say a damn word. I could disagree with probably 50%, but I can see the benefit, how it will help a great majority of my people, and I shut the hell up. Now, there's one thing I do want to define here this evening, family. A lot of times I think when we use certain words, people don't understand the meaning of these words. So there's a word that we use in the Black empowerment space of talking about democratic shields, right? Not shield like S-H-I-E-L-D, but shield, S-H-I-L-L. And let me just give you a quick meaning of this word. It states here, a noun that means a decoy or confident trickster and an assistant. We have a lot of them, unfortunately, in the Black community. We call them traitors, we call them turncoats, we call them coons, and we call them Sambos. But then you have people in that political space who you believe that is a black face in a white place, but they're going to speak on Black Americans' behalf for the betterment of Black America. Then you realize you have a lot of democratic shields. It states here, and we know what a noun is, a person, place, or thing. A noun that means someone who gives credibility to another person. Listen, it means someone who gives credibility to another person or organization without disclosing a close relationship. This is also known as planting or stooge, or some people say, or an op. So you have an op, you have a plant, you have a stooge, you have a spy, you have a turncoat, you have a traitor, you have a coon, you have a Sambo, and you have a sellout. God damn. Why is there so many words to explain people of this nature? And it's a verb, action, that means to act as a shield. It can also mean to be dishonest or false. Ain't nothing positive about a shield. Ain't nothing positive about a shield. It says it can also mean to be dishonest or false. A noun that means someone who praises or publicizes something or someone for personal profit, self-interest, or loyalty. See, Jim Clyburn, he's a Democratic shield. And at this time, it was for personal profit, but he's worth millions of dollars. So now it's just about loyalty. That's what it's about. Then I know you got your MAGA crowd, you got your Trumpsters. I would like to say loyalty, but I think most of that is just out of stupidity. That's just my opinion. That is just my opinion. But I digress. Now, when we talk about white supremacy, I'm just going to pop up a little headline here for you guys, okay? I wish I had my other setup, but I don't, so I can give you that trigger warning. But I want to show you this very quickly. You guys remember this? Black people are still killed by the police at a higher rate than other groups. And then a white supremacist comment would be, well, because you guys commit the most crimes, right? That's what they would say, because you commit the most crimes. We don't commit the most crimes, family. Just do some research. The Department of Justice, FBI, Crime Explorer, white people per capita commit more crimes than black people, even though even though black people are pulled over more, even though black people get longer sentencing, even to this day. So when people say, oh, Trump, fixed Joe Biden's problem of the 1994 crime bill by doing some crime reform, that's untrue. That's absolutely untrue. Just do your research, family. A lot of these things, fortunately, are unbiasedly recorded. Let me move on. Right now, we're just going through a couple of headlines because there's a breakdown of Donald Trump I want to give. Again, we're going to go through these racist comments I received, family, so stay with me. Stay with me here. If you got any questions, also, I'm going to put a link so you guys can join me if you have any comments. Okay? So let me show you this as well. We're going to do a quick breakdown of Trump. Just a quick breakdown. So fact-checking Trump's policies for Black Americans, okay? Now, of course, you got your people who just want to be part of the party. You have some people who don't know what the hell they signed up for. And you have some people following along to get along, okay? Now, let me just go down here very quickly. And it says criminal justice reform. Criminal justice reform, right? And what he did was Donald Trump pardoned a couple of black people. So some people say, oh, well, there's your reparations. Black Logic, there's your reparations. And then some people say, look, Trump's not racist. He pardoned people. But I think we all know that other presidents have pardoned black people as well. Doesn't mean there wasn't racist. Because affecting one is not affecting all. It's like, look, I'm not racist. I had food to feed 100 families, but I only fed one because they were black. You see what I'm saying? It states here, President Donald Trump signs a full pardon of Alice Johnson in the Oval Office. The morning after Philadelphia police fatally shot a black man, 27 years old, Walter Wallace, Trump praised officers as the most incredible people on earth. Donald Trump. After killing a black man who had a knife. He had a knife, family. But I don't know if you guys are familiar with police and what they have. Police have pepper spray. They have, they used to call them all sorts of names. A flakjack, a billy club, a nightstick. They got some sort of stick. Pepper spray, a taser. They have at least 3 non-lethal methods to deter a threat. They have 3 non-lethal methods to deter a threat. But when it comes to black folk, they always ready to pull the gun. And this is more so than that, because as I stated before, and I know I'm just showing headlines, family, but you can go read it for yourself. You can look at the sources here from the website and read it for yourself. So you know I'm not just curtailing and changing and transforming the information and not giving you the whole story. Just read it for yourself. Or take my word for it, because here at Black Logic, we speak the truth. We're not trying to change any information. The truth is the truth. No need for arguments. Okay? So we're going to go back to this story, but I want to show you some other stuff and other topics about things Trump supposedly have done for black folk that people are going to use, right? It states here, black unemployment, okay? And we understand that currently to this day, did you know that Joe Biden's unemployment for black people is actually lower than Donald Trump was? So that kind of debunks the whole Trump had the lowest unemployment in black people, so can't go with that. And we're going to be going back and forth because don't forget, I unalign myself from the political spectrum when it comes to party and people. Because if you ain't talking about policy, then you ain't talking about anything else. Then we get to the HBCU funding. The one thing everybody brings up, well, Donald Trump, it don't matter what space you go in. You're going to Twitter spaces. You go to Clubhouse spaces and everybody's saying Donald Trump gave millions and billions of dollars to HBCUs. More so than any other president. than any other president in history. The bill is a 10-year renewal of funding. During Obama's 8 years in office, mandatory HBCU funding ranged from almost 80 million to 85 million per year. The same has been true during Trump's administration. That's it. He matched Obama, family. He matched Obama. That's all he done. He matched Obama. It says the amount of funding for HBCUs is the same thing that we had under President Obama. There you go. There you go. There you go. No one can no longer tell the lie. He had the lowest unemployment rate. Well, Joe Biden got that now. He gave the most money to HBCUs. Well, he matched Obama. And we have to understand, family, not a great volume of Black people, Foundation Black Americans, go to HBCUs. I think at my son's school, I don't know the actual population number, but it's a small school. I want to say like 8,000, but out of that 8,000, I think it was some staggering number, like 10% of the student body was non-Black. Because at the graduation, I saw Asians, I saw whites, because don't forget, when they go to a Black school, they're a minority. So in some regards, guess what, family? If you're non-Black, and you probably can use this information for your good, if you're non-Black and you're trying to either get reduce school, what's the number? I forgot what you call it. Tuition. There you go. It's applied to a Black school as a minority, because you're going to be a minority at an HBCU. So there's federal grants and federal subsidies, and you may even go to school for free. That's a nugget for you. But I move on. Let's move on. Opportunity zones. Because people say, well, President Trump went out into the Black community and he created all of these opportunities. He created all these opportunities for Black folks to start businesses. They're going to get government subsidies. They're going to get reduced taxes, X, Y, and Z. Okay? Because it states here that opportunity zones are tax incentives to encourage those with capital gains to invest in low income and uncapitalized communities, according to the Tax Policy Center. Basically, they're talking about Black neighborhoods, right? Because when you look around America, you have your hillbillies, you have your people live out in the sticks, you have people live in trailer parks, you have people live in low rundown neighborhoods. But the majority, unfortunately, of low ran down apartments and houses are used in the Black community because it's designed that way for us to live that way. Not that all of us just don't care about our neighborhoods and community, which is a big fat lie. Okay, let me move on. I'm getting down to the nitty gritty. A feature of the president's 1.5 trillion tax cut, the program was intended to benefit Black and low income communities, but there's very little data about which actually happened in opportunity zones. There isn't a full accounting of the number of opportunity zone projects, let alone basic information such as what those projects are, where they're being pursued, and who's benefiting them. So the question is, family, who's receiving the money? Who got the money? Because they stated that they created all these opportunity zones under Trump, but where's the money? They can't account for the money. No one can account for this money. Housing. You guys know Ben Carson, housing. It states here that President Trump listens. As Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, Ben Carson speaks during a roundtable about American seniors in cabinet rooms. The U.S. Department of Housing replaced the 2015 Affirmatively Furthering Fair Housing Act. They reversed it with a much weaker rule in July, using a waiver to exempt the new regulation from public comment requirements. Public comments allow people to weigh in on proposed rules before they're finalized. But bypassing this critical step, the agency essentially expedited a months-long process without any public input. That is that dictatorship. That is that dictatorship that Donald Trump is bringing to the White House, that he's bringing to the government. And listen, family, don't get me wrong. I have to tell people every time they come to Black Logic, I'm not a Joe Biden supporter. I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm just giving you the truth. He reversed it, bypassed the public input part, so he can have whatever he wants, and then made it a weaker ruling. And now here's the important part. He's using absolutely baseless fear of crime and decreased property value as attempted triggers to get a white anxiety about living with black people. I'm just gonna say black people, but they're talking about people of color. Then it says in African Americans in particular. That means majority of African Americans. So it's black Americans. And the idea of integration itself, said Thomas Silverstein, a counselor in the Fair Housing Community Development Project at the Laws Committee for Civil Rights Under Law. He says not only is he being basically explicitly racist here, he's also just operating a fact-free environment immune to any sort of empirical evidence about housing policies. See, these are the things that Donald Trump was passing. Being a hurley racist, and all that we talking about, well, you know, you want to do Donald Trump is good. So, and here's the thing about both sides. Both sides they're both telling the truth on one another. They're saying how Donald Trump is going to come into office and he's like a dictator, democracy as we know it. That's true. But we survived 4 years of Trump. We can do another. It is going to be more savvy. And as I played that clip for you early in the broadcast, which I may play again, very powerful clip by Dr. Umar Johnson, that spoke volumes. Let me move on. I think that's the end of that one, family. So we're gonna just jog your memory, because we was talking about Trump for a while there. We was talking about Trump for a while, but there's one thing I want to share with you guys before we go any further here. I want you to recall a certain quote that Dr. Neely Fuller said. Okay, that Dr. Neely Fuller said, and we're gonna see it here. If you don't understand white supremacy, aka racism, everything that you do understand will only confuse you. If you don't understand white supremacy, everything that you do understand will only confuse you. And some of you are probably already confused. I know exactly what the brother's talking about. I know exactly what the brother's talking about. But we're going to cover that as well. Okay? We're going to cover that as well. Let me see who we got in the room. I see a lot of people being chatty patties. Blacks for RFK say, I never knew that. B1 to my brother Turian Rain. He's another one of our warrior brothers in the Black empowerment space. Shout out goes out to Turian Rain Reloaded. Go and support that brother. Okay. DSB states that reparation is cash checks for FBA 10 million lump sum for every FBA man, woman, and child, and a $50K a month for life and no more paying taxes. Okay. But anyway, family, I'm gonna get into these comments very quickly, but just to jog you guys' memory, here you go.
Listen, you got to come see us when you come to New York, VP Biden.
I will.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
They don't have.
Vice President Biden, do you support reparations?
Look, I mean, since I haven't spoken on this, got a chance. Number one, the reason we're the country we are is because of immigration. We've been able to cherry pick the best from every single continent. The people.
I had to make sure I give you guys a refreshed memory. Now I want you guys to remember something about Donald Trump before we get into these comments. I want you to remember something about Donald Trump, especially when we come to the Central Park 5. See, we have all these tall tale signs. We have all this information. We have all these video clips to show you guys, to bring into remembrance that not one white man in office, not one white supremacist in office is going to be better for Black America unless it's backed up with policy. And the only way we're going to do that is we're a unified group that's organized and we move out on purpose. That's the only way, family. So let me jog your memory on this very quickly.
Of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done. strongly in favor of the death penalty. I'm saying if they're found guilty, if the woman died, which she hopefully will not be dying, but if the woman died, I think they should be executed.
That is what you call white, and I say so. Even after DNA evidence came out of the man actually confessing, Donald Trump standing 10 toes down on his remarks that the Central Park Five is still guilty. Not understanding all the interviews they did that was coerced and manipulated to admit to these crimes that they haven't committed to. And all the while, someone comes forth and confesses, and their confession is backed up by DNA. By DNA. He still stated that the Central Park Five was guilty. And I want you to think about that in another manner. It's like you say, that baby ain't mine. And then you get a DNA test. And the DNA test comes back, the baby is yours, 99.99%. And then you say, I'm black and I say so. It's not my child. That's what you call I'm white and I say so. In this case, a lot of times when people pop up, pick steel frames and then a couple of words to manipulate people. No, family, we got invoices here. We got invoices, we got receipts, we got Rolodexes.
April. Mr. President, will you apologize to Central Park Five? They've been exonerated. There have been videos and movies shown about the case, and you came out with a full-page ad saying that they should die, that they should have the death penalty.
Why do you bring that question up now? It's an interesting time to bring it up. You have people on both sides of that. They admitted their guilt. If you look at Linda Fairstein and if you look at some of the prosecutors, they think that the city should never have settled that case. So we'll leave it at that.
And last but not least, we're going to cover some damn coons speaking on protecting and speaking up for Donald Trump.
At the Black Conservative Federation Gala in South Carolina is leading to controversy, with some calling the remarks racist. Take a listen.
And a lot of people said that that's why the black people like me, because they have been hurt so badly and discriminated against. And they actually viewed me as I'm being discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing, but it...
Trump thought that was funny. He said they actually thought I'm being discriminated against. You mean I've been rich my entire life? I'm a billionaire. I got away with all sorts of sexual misconduct, allegedly. And they thought I was being discriminated. But I mean, I've been a billionaire. I got my private jets, private homes. I got a golf course out in Ireland. I mean, I'm living the best life that you can live. And majority of foundational Black Americans are suppressed and oppressed and live in poverty and have low income. But they're relating to me, a rich, powerful white man that has already been president. What else can you achieve in America? You're a billionaire with businesses, you got your own jet, and you became president. What more can any human being ask for to be a billionaire, one of the richest, most powerful men in the world, and then actually becomes the most powerful man in the world? Like, he thought it was funny. That's my take, family. I told you, this is from a very Black perspective.
Discriminated against. It's been pretty amazing, but it possibly, I don't know, maybe there's something there.
That was said in front of hundreds of black
Listen to these
conservatives.
guys.
What was their reaction? We're joined now by 4 black Republicans who were all in the room. Abdul Ali, Operations Director at Frederick Douglass Foundation of North Carolina. Tia Bess, National Director of Engagement for Moms for Liberty. Kevin McGarry, co-founder of Every Black Life Matters. And Sharice Lane, a student at Florida A&M University. A quick show of hands. Do you believe his comments were in any way racist? Nobody. Okay. Abdul, what were your thoughts that night when you heard these comments during the event?
It's about time that somebody started telling the truth. I mean, he's only speaking to what some black folks have experienced for a very long time, which is a disastrous justice systems in many cases. And ultimately, we can all see this playing out right in front of our very eyes. I wasn't offended or didn't feel like anything he said was racist in any way.
Former President Trump also made a statement about his mugshot taken as part of his Georgia case. Let's take a listen to that.
And you know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my...
And family, listen to me. They are at the Black Conservative Federation or something like that, but majority of the audience are black conservative. And when he said that, people started clapping it.
Mugshot. You know, they do shirts and they sell them for $19 a piece.
They sell them for $19 a piece.
Kevin, Tia, I want to bring you in here. Do you feel that that comment was in any way off color?
Not at all. I mean, you know, the reality is that, you know, we see a president that has been prosecuted and persecuted, and a lot of people in the community.
Okay, family. They said that oh my God. They said that this man has been persecuted and prosecuted. No, he has not. He has not been persecuted and prosecuted. The worst thing that Donald Trump, the only thing that Donald Trump has gone through, which ain't going through anything, was taking a picture. See, you make it sound more than what it is when you say mugshot. He took a picture. He didn't spend not one day in jail. What are they talking about? He's been prosecuted and persecuted. No, he's been indicted on crimes. That's it. What are they talking about? They're lying. See, you see what I'm saying? Donald Trump better knows than anyone. He's lately been prosecuted and persecuted like black folk. No, that rich white billionaire has not gone through what you have gone through, what I've gone through. No, you wasn't just walking down the street minding your business and people just wanted to call you a nigga. Come on, man. See, that's these Sambos out here. That's these Republican shills. Who are they fooling?
Especially in the black community, who have felt that there's multi-tiers of justice. Are seeing that played out in front of their very eyes, and they're saying, yeah, I can relate to this guy. This guy is going through some things that either myself or my family have gone through.
What is he going through?
It's a very relatable moment for a lot of people. So seeing this mugshot as a big, to the media and to the political pundits it's a big deal, and it really does resonate within the community.
Tia, want to get your comments there.
Well, no, I agree, especially coming from an education perspective. You know, he didn't say, if you're not black if you don't vote for me. You know, he was just stating the truth, and that's what sometimes we need to hear. For too long in politics, we've been lied to, and we need to hear the truth and have someone that we can relate to.
Me personally, I don't think that's necessarily relating to blackness, but I do think that a lot of black people have gone through the criminal justice system, and it has been unfair to them. And I think that's what he was saying.
Abdul, you've said that you focus more on Trump's policies than what he actually says. But as we saw when he was president, his words do have tremendous power, even fluctuating the stock market just minutes after he'd speak. Do you think that his words shouldn't matter?
His words absolutely do matter. And I'm less concerned with something said in jest, and I'm more concerned.
As far as, do you feel that there have been some policies in the past, well, while he was president for 4 years, that black people benefited from?
Absolutely. And the number one policy, and the one policy I wish the mainstream media would cover, because it would give you a lot more credibility amongst your average folks, would be the policy that Joe Biden in his 1994 crime bill, when he says, look, we're going to get rid of these racial jungles. We're going to, basically target black and brown communities for a little $5 piece of crack. We're going to send them to prison from 15 to life. And this has been going on. President Trump came in and saw the injustice that was perpetrated on the black community, especially. It was targeted. And he said, no, we're going to dismantle this.
According to exit polling, former President Trump saw a 5% increase in the black vote from 2016 to 2020. Tia, I want to bring you back in here. What do you think is driving this increase? What specific Trump policies do you feel have helped black Americans?
Well, I'll start with myself. I was a Democrat for all my life, my entire family, but it was around COVID time when I started paying attention to policies being made. Like I started paying attention to when Trump and other politicians were listening to the parents, the people who really had voices that matter. Because if you look at the media now, no one's paying attention to the parents and what we need. And just because I'm a black parent doesn't mean that I care less about my child. Doesn't mean that my opinion should not be heard. So there have been a lot of policies that, Trump has been supporting within the parental rights system.
Trump's comments on Friday at the Black...
She didn't name any policies. She didn't name not one policy, family. Not one policy. There's many policies. What are the policies? Many of them. That's how many policies we got. We got many policies, family. We got many policies. That's what we have. Lord have mercy. I'm over here doing all sorts of things. She made me laugh so hard when she said policies. There's many policies. What are the policies? I don't know. I'm just talking. Give me 1 second, family. I want to show you this video clip that got so much attention in a short time. Listen to this, especially those in South Carolina. And on a broader stage, we're talking about cash payment reparations to right the wrongs of history of this country. It's not about handouts. It's about justice, family. It's about justice. So Representative Clyburn, boot licking, Sambo kicking, fish frying Clyburn. But when it comes to the black community, we are left at the back of the line, especially those in South Carolina. And on a broader stage, we're talking about cash payment reparations. All right, right there, family. That's the comment that they hated. That's the comment that they went to town on. And so I want to address some of these white supremacist comments, the ideology, which is deeply rooted. They may not even understand. Again, a lot of these people may be first, second, third generation, no matter what country they're from. And I notice a lot of these people hide their identity. They don't have a picture. They may have their real name, but it's like we'll get into it. We'll get into it. They always hide. Don't hide. Don't hide your racism. You big, you bad. It states right here. See, how you going to do that? I got an idea. Get a job, save money, maybe have a family that you don't abandon, and stop bitching about reparations, because it's never going to happen. How many indignations of racism inside of that one statement? Get a job, racist. Save money, good advice. Maybe have a family you don't abandon. So black people just abandon their families. Black men just abandon their family, and then stop bitching about reparations. Like, you ain't getting no money, nigga. That's what I got from that. No. Stupid idea to give us reparations. And I stated to the wrong people, I agree. Let me know if you can see this. I'm going through my comments, family. This guy states here, right, this whole thing, depending on the slaves you're talking about black tribes that were already here, became slaves, and sure. And the only thing I said, hey, you can speak your piece on tonight's broadcast. You can come on, I'll let you speak. Whoever, Gabrielle something. And then Gary states, nope, find your own money. No need to find something has already been given. Now listen to this. Now this is a back and forth, and I said you avoided the question I expected, and your suspected white supremacy is enough. somebody else, money will not fix the problem. And then I asked, how do you know that? Oh, that's right. You don't know. You're just talking. That's what people do on the internet. They troll. And then this person stays here. Again, none of them have their real picture. They got these little avatars, or they have just a letter or something that YouTube gives them. What would you do with it, Clyde? You at your computer, no job now. No job. I have no job. I do have a job. It's called giving you that damn work. That's my job. I said, LOL for a guy with no job. I live pretty well. Nigga. I guess Section 8 has upgraded me. This is a nice Section 8 house that I live in. Let me tell you, it's really nice. It's a nice Section 8 house. I mean, thank you, government. This person said, no cash reparations is a joke. So I flipped it. Correct. Not paying what is owed cash reparations is a joke. You agree the government should pay what they owe. Let me move on. It states here, the overwhelming majority of white people in this country do not have answers to receive cash payment for slaves. So that means it's not white people who receive reparations. It's a very few white people. And then they wrote this whole dialogue. If you had slaves and you lost them after the war and all, during the civil rights war, the Civil War, then you got reparations as a white person because you lost property. You lost your slave because we were still looked as property. And then you got Sneed as feed, call me pathetic. Of course I am. Sneed says, Black Logic, you're kind of about handouts for stuff that none of us were involved in. Why I'm owed money, why I don't want to work, why talking about I'm crying about it. And you notice during that clip, family, I said nothing about not working. If you're owed something, you're owed something. That's just what it is. Through the loins of our ancestors, just as well as somebody through the loins of your father. If you owned it, if you and your father had a business, if you and your father loaned people money and your father died, those people still owe your family that money. That organization, that person, that company still owes your business that money. Just because someone died doesn't stop the money being owed. It's owed for work rendered. He also states here, let me go down. Give me 1 second, family. He said, Black Logic, you didn't do any of that, bro. And I said, you're absolutely correct. My ancestors did, and there's still a debt to be owed. If your great grandfather rendered work and never got paid, if that business is still in business, they will owe you money and you should demand payment. Land money is generational, can be used to benefit the next generation, so on and so forth. I'm really talking to myself because I understand the system of white supremacy. Is good to know I know this. I was talking to myself, family. I understand that responding to these are null and void. They're not going anywhere. Sneeze says, oh, this guy just wants money. Having the same rights as everyone else isn't good enough for him. That's a damn lie. We don't have the same rights as everybody else. Yeah. You have the same rights on paper. But look at the disparities when it comes to a black man committing the same crime as a white man. Traditionally, historically, and presently, black people get longer sentencing. So much for fucking rights. And so I responded, I said, the delusion starts with this country paying reparations to every group of people living here, except for the group that built the foundation of America. From roads, railroads, American towns, cities, the White House, the Capitol, etc. Whites received reparation and cash for slaves that went free. Free land through homestead, grant money to farm the land. Hispanics just look at immigration and illegal immigration. Enough said. Just look at immigration. Reparations. They're receiving reparations. Asians, with outsourcing, federal protection in the form of a hate crime bill, and Native Americans who receive reparations till this day. They don't pay taxes. They receive federal grants, subsidies, and benefits. And then I stated, waiting for your intelligent response. Holler at your boy. Okay, let me keep going. Get a job like the rest of black folks that are doing just fine and not wanting charity. I said, interesting tune in this evening and state your opinion. Okay. Someone says here, welfare. And I said, that's what white people have received. Homestead, welfare. Subsidies, grants to bomb and fill their houses, welfare. They're coming as a socialist, it's a socialist program. Homestead is a socialist program. And then they say that, oh, well, some blacks got land through Homestead, and then that land was taken from them as well. Tom Snyder says, who was it who sold your ancestors into slavery? Arabs, whites, and Africans. Next question. You think I'm a lie? You think I'm a lie? Not this guy. There you go. Now what? Now what? So Africans sold us into slavery, but we was also stolen from Africa. Okay? We was also stolen from Africa. But who cares how foundational Black Americans got here from Africa? Or the ones who was already here that was never enslaved back in the country or sold? Does it matter? The foundation of America has built on the backs of blacks. It doesn't matter how we got here, does it? So we got sold. And you think that's not dehumanizing? So when we get over here and listen, oh, we're your own people sold you into slavery. So if white people, because this is what America stated, that they look at black folk, they look at the slave as 3/5 of a human. So basically they were doing business with 3/5 of a human in Africa, if that's how we got sold. But again, nothing would make sense if you don't understand white supremacy. Nothing will make sense if you don't understand how white ideology works, how the white culture works. Because this entire time I'm responding, I'm just doing a social experiment. I usually don't respond to comments like this, but I say, you know what? Let me do a social experiment and actually respond. Just like this guy. In the U.S., indentured servitude was actually worse. Listen to this. Listen to this. In the U.S., indentured servitude was actually worse in multiple ways. Slaves were given food. Indentured servants were forced to pay, and if they had no money, their service was extended. You got to be kidding me. He said that indentured servitude was worse than slavery. So was indentured service property? Was indentured service shackled and chained? They probably would say, yeah, just to prove an argument, which is false. See, indentured servitude is a choice. Indentured servitude is a choice because a lot of these indentured servants, and that's why they try to make this argument family, were white. And they couldn't pay their loans back. They couldn't pay their bills back. Or they came up with a contract or deal that if you work for me and do these things for 5 or 7 years, then I'll give you A, B, and C. I'll give you land. I'll give you a carriage or something. I'll give you a couple of horses. Give you a couple of acres of land and a horse and a cabin. We'll help you build a cabin out there if you do 5 to 7 years of work. But he's stating that indentured servitude was worse than slavery. Now that's some white supremacy ideology for your ass. I'm just saying. Tell me, were you a slave? Irish were enslaved before. They don't cry about any reparations. I say, tell me when the Irish was enslaved. Indentured servitude is not slavery. These are just some of the comments that I received. Justice is happening. Lazy people get nothing. And I said, great. If justice is happening, then cash payment reparations is on the way. You guys get that? Because he's saying justice is happening. Lazy people get nothing. He was insinuating that people who want reparations are lazy. But the way I flipped it, the way I looked at it is justice is happening. So if justice is happening, then great. If it's happening, then cash payments, reparations on its way, because that's justice. And then Love Star Media states that land and gold bars is justice, not fiat money. They're talking about banknotes. They're not real money, gold and silver and stuff like that, and land, things that are tangible. Will Lyndon B. Johnson funnels about $3 trillion to the black community in the last 70 years. And what happened to that money? Why is Joe Jones asking me? One of the few guys that actually put his face on here. But I can't really, it doesn't matter. But why is he asking me where the $3 trillion went? So I stated, great question. One will have to investigate if the money actually reached said communities and the info you stated is not lies, lip service, and or government propaganda. You see that, family? There's no need for argument. Again, this was a social experiment. I normally wouldn't waste my time. I normally wouldn't. But this is this good feedback, addressing these white supremacy comments and understand like the foundation, the basis of white supremacy. We're not even getting to the root cause of why they had this ideology, but it's built on power. It's built on power. No one should be getting reparations. Stop living like a victim. Stop living like a victim. Didn't ask me any questions, just assume because I talked about reparations and justice. So what I stated was, okay, tell the Native Americans that which are still here to this day, receiving reparations and not paying taxes. Tell them to stop acting like victims. You see that? No one goes and protests going against Native Americans about their reparations. No, they just tell us that. Lazy people taking for free money, Gucci and other designers will be happy when that happens. And then I said, I have no idea what you're talking about. Provide context. Because if a brother gets his reparations, when he gets his reparations and he wants to go out and buy Gucci, so be it. I would rather for him to start his own Gucci. Call it something, of course, but start your own clothing line, brother. Don't go and buy that expensive cotton that they just label something. Reparations for all slaves. See that all lives matter? Then you got people like that. I agree if there are any slaves alive today. Collect your reparations from those who sold them. Other blacks, talking about Africans again. And then I stated Arabs, whites, and blacks to be exact. According to the Constitution, we still have slaves in the U.S., so should they collect as well? Did you guys get that? Sometimes I be in my head, family. I be in my head. But what I was saying was, stated in the Constitution, we still have slavery. Then he said, are there any slaves alive today? Then yeah, people who are in jail are slaves. Should they collect money as well? You see the stupidity in that? This is what I'm referring to. There's still slavery in Africa. You should go over there and protest. You see that? Go back to your own country, nigga. That's what they're saying. There's still slavery in Africa. You should go over there and protest. What that got to do with me? I said, why would I do that? I'm a Foundation of Black America. Maybe you should go back to Europe. I'm just saying, right? Weak people blaming others. Grow up here. MLK. Huh? MLK last words. We're going to Washington to get our check. People don't know nothing about MLK, family. Didn't America right the wrongs about abortion and slavery? No, they did not. No, they did not. In that case, how did America right their wrongs and allow the Native Americans to live, and not only let them live, give them a lot of their land back, and not only that, have them not to pay taxes if they live on the reservations, and not only that, give them billions of dollars in budgeting by the way of the Indian Bureau's Affairs, the Indian Bureau's Affairs office. Picture black people not paying taxes and having our own land in building casinos where Asians, whites, black, everybody gambles. Think about that. Think about all these tribes in Washington and throughout the U.S. who have these billion-dollar casinos that they don't pay taxes on. Think about that. You see the racism in that? He says, you're benefiting didn't America right the wrongs by abortion and slavery? You're benefiting from that as you sit in your home now. Help me to understand. So I did. I say, America right their wrongs by abolishing slavery. You say, question, does racism still exist in America for black people? You see that? Does racism still exist in America for black people? And then he stated something about, I voted for Joe Biden or something. It goes on and on, family. No Irish need apply. You don't hear us crying for a handout. So this guy is Irish, of course, no picture. And then I said, because you benefit from the system of white supremacy welfare. By the way, what's the definition of crying? I think when people, and here's another thing, they try to do these very manipulative ways because you speak out. You speak out about a particular topic. They believe that you're whining and crying. No, not at all. Talk to the people in Africa that sold their own people into slavery. Case closed. I said, to them and to the country my ancestors made rich, USA. Yeah, family. See, these are some of the things that we don't go over. I'm about to address some of your comments, and I'm about to put that link inside the chat that we talked about earlier. Yep. In case any of these people who made these comments want to come on the broadcast and tell me about it. So let me go back up just a little bit here, family. I see David Robinson in the room. Okay, someone said I was muted. Black RFK say unmute. Thanks for those. I saw those pink hands too. I didn't know what that was about. I need to start reading, but I just be muting myself. Am I still muted? Okay. I'm not muted. Said David Robinson states that, yeah, I see how far you've come. I wish you'd come to the ghetto. You won't have to wait to November to run. You will run tonight. Oh boy, I tell you. Let's see here. Brayton James says that black people with that now look on the Margaret's El Salvador Colombian autumn country is letting the violent inmates out of prison and send them to America. That makes sense. Okay, that didn't make sense unless I read it wrong. David says, what they fail to talk about is during slavery, millions of white people from Europe came here and was given millions of acres of land, which most people still own or was passed down. Absolutely. They know that. They know that. You speak to most white people, okay? You speak to most white people. The only reason why I say that because most black people live in urban and suburban areas. We don't live in the sticks. But they'll tell you that their family either had land or have land that was passed down for 100 years or so. Yeah. You'll get that. Okay, give me a second here, family. We had to beg Obama for funding for HBCU. In his second term, he funded HBCUs barely. Yet he gave DACA $800,000 Thurgood Marshall Scholarship, which is illegal. They are not citizens. And then he goes on to put some more receipts to his comments there. DSB states, both parties keep insulting us while pandering. Couch 2024. JD Informant, I should see you in the room, brother. I almost said that colored folks delusional. I don't know what they're referring to about colored folks. We're foundational Black Americans. Biden isn't going to get enough of the black folk to win. As Black Americans, we are to see to that. The borders are going to close and deportations are going to happen. You can, and I don't know what they're talking about. Okay. Let me get this sister comments up here. I'm gonna put it up on the screen, family. I don't know if someone deleted it. If one of my mods deleted that comment, please get that back. I don't want that comment to be deleted. Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I no longer see that comment in the room. So one of my mods can get that comment back. The comment was by Lady Warrior. Here it is. This is what she states. And the question to this comment that I have for Lady Warrior, if she's still in the room, or anybody that believes this, tell me an area of human activity that white supremacy does not dominate. Someone does that for me. Tell me an area of human activity that white supremacy does not dominate. And if anybody knows what I'm speaking about, I'm speaking on the coattails, I'm speaking on the backs of great master teachers like Neely Fuller, John Henry Clark, Francis Curtis Welsing, Dick Gregory, etc., etc., etc. Please tell me, just want to say that I'm muted again. Y'all gonna make me pull out my hair or my scalp. Let me make sure I can see my meter here, family. I should be good. See, Kevin Dukes. I don't know. China is my new Italian night mother. Okay. Yeah, some people are saying some weird stuff. But family, this is what we're talking about. I'm gonna put the link in the chat one more time, just in case people are still in the room who wants to make comments or add to the conversation. Either or, family. Either or. Now, Kevin Dukes, don't try to come up to the stage, brother. You're not getting on. You talking about you over there drinking beers. We're not doing that. We're not drinking beers over here. But now that I got this queued up, family, while people figure out if they're going to join me here or not, I have a quick clip for you guys that I want to play. Let me share my screen very quickly. Now, as I stated early in the broadcast, there were people talking about white supremacy in Latino culture.
More violence involving migrants.
2 people were arrested after yet another fight breaks out at the Randall's Island shelter.
Fox 5's Morgan McKay joins us now in studio. And Morgan, the mayor planning to take some major action in response to this latest accident.
Steve and Natasha, at least 2 migrants were arrested and charged yesterday after a fight broke out at the Randall's Island migrant shelter. But this comes as Mayor Eric Adams is also pushing for changes to the sanctuary city laws that would allow the NYPD to turn migrants accused of a crime over to ICE.
You don't have to be a behavioral scientist to state that we're creating a terrible environment.
Mayor Eric Adams says the city is installing metal detectors at the migrant shelter on Randall's Island, and he is planning a visit to the site after another fight broke out at the shelter Monday night. According to the NYPD, a 23-year-old migrant struck a security guard in the face, causing a scuffle. 2 migrants were placed under arrest and charged, but this marks the 3rd violent incident to occur at the shelter in just the last several months. Adams again renewed his call to the White House to give migrants faster access to work papers.
You place 1,000 people in one setting and tell them they can't work. All they can do is sit around all day. Tempers flare.
Adams is also making it clear that
all right, so Mayor Adams of New York is making an excuse for violent migrant attacks within the shelter that he's provided. And now he has to put metal detectors because people are getting shanked, killed. I know you guys are familiar with a story of a young black teenager who was taken up for a girl in California, and he was jumped by 6 or 7 migrants and was stabbed about 3 or 4 times. The brother lived, thank God, but I want to point out one more thing before we end here tonight. I know we've been going quite some time, so let me just share one more screen with you guys. Okay. And this is what I want to get on right here. White supremacist group attract Linos to their ranks. There's a lot of white supremacy in Latino and Hispanic culture, right? They even have certain words to describe the lighter your skin, the whiter you are. And then the darker you are, the more you are, to a black person. And they don't want to darken up their race. They want to whiten up their race, or their ethnic rather. Because Latinos necessarily don't have a designated race. They're mixed with a lot of, Native Americans, Aztecians, Tainos, African, you name it. They're mixed with a lot of people. So they go by ethnic, but nonetheless, the brown to lighter skinned Latinos, and I'm not giving you guys percentages or anything like that, they have a white supremacist culture, okay? White Mexicans have had a role to play in white supremacy. And again, This coming from primereports.org. You guys can read this article for yourself. Latinos can be white supremacist. A mass shooting carried out by a Hispanic suspect who authorities said had neo-Nazi ideation can cause some confusion. And don't forget about the Hispanic gentleman who went inside of the grocery store in that black neighborhood and killed like 6 or 7 black folk. He was Hispanic. And then as you kind of comb through this white supremacy groups in Mexico, I actually did a video on this one. It also has to deal with the undermining of black folk when it comes to the illegal immigration. But family, that's what I have for you this evening. I see nobody wanted to come forward after all these comments that was made. I believe I provided ample time. Oh yeah, he said YouTube hating hard. Of course. It's always something, right? It's always something. But I thank you guys for joining me here this evening. You guys have a great and wonderful evening, and I'll see you guys on Friday. Be one.